Uh, I'm really excited to introduce Sierra and the work she's been doing for her Climate Fellows project. Sierra has been helping build out scrapers so that we can have the world's first database of climate legislation. So you might think, you know, why aren't people doing more analysis of climate legislation? Why isn't it easier to drive policy? And part of the reason is people don't even know what the existing laws and policies are. And it's really, really hard to get that data. And the only way to get that data is to take a country by country approach. And we're really excited that Sierra has built the sort of technical infrastructure to do this. And I'm looking forward to the presentation by Dr. Hyman and Sierra about their work. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Dr. Hyman and Sierra.
Thanks so very much, Jeremy, and thanks everybody who's here like in real time and those who are joining later. Just really excited to be able to share with you what's going on and see if we can get you interested in helping change the world in terms of what we know about climate laws. So I'm going to just give a couple-minute introduction as to why we think this could be so powerful and what you could do to contribute if you want. And then Sierra is going to really dive into the tools. So I just want to first start by recognizing that there is tremendous work that people have done by hand to pull together laws in the past. Things like the London School of Economics and the Grantham Institute. Phenomenal that individuals have spent so much time pulling one law at a time, analyzing them. But if we really want real-time solutions for all the world's laws in every country that relates to the full scope of climate, we absolutely need technology to help us achieve this at a completely different level. So that's what this initiative is about. I'm just thrilled that Sierra decided to work with us as her climate fellowship. And I think you're going to be really excited when you see what she's done. The other piece I want to do is just invite anybody who's on this call or who sees it later, who wants to tell us about related initiatives, to tell us about them. We heard from Climate Policy Radar, who's doing some machine learning on another part of the problem. We're so thrilled to collaborate. All this is about open source public solutions that can really accelerate change. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can get a sense of what this is about. Okay, so this project, so what's the goal? The goal is that we would create a searchable database with laws from every single one of the couple hundred countries around the world on everything they're doing on mitigation and adaptation. And then change makers, civil society, policymakers, others would have access to what's going on. So why do we think that's so powerful? Because there are things you can do once you have the laws. We can learn about legal change in real time. So if a law is being considered in Botswana or in Benin, we can know in time for lots of people to contribute to work on it, whether it's a positive change or not. We can accelerate the passage of new policies and laws that lead to better climate mitigation and adaptation. And we can hold governments accountable for commitments beyond the global agreements, the commitments that really make a difference in changing what happens day to day. So to do this, though, we need a completely different set of tools than what we have. Now, you may wonder, why did I just go from climate to parenting? I just want to say that we have a proof of concept in other fields. So I direct something called the World Policy Analysis Center at UCLA, together with partners around the world. We measure, quantify, look at the impact of laws and policies in all 193 UN countries plus more. And we have over 2 million indicators of those. So what's that allow us to do? You can see there's a little share sign that allows us to put public use shareable data, widely used. But importantly, and this is why we think it's so important to do for climate, it leads to actual policy change that affects millions and millions of people. This is an example from our work around paid parental leave. The evidence was used to change laws in the Philippines around maternity leave, to change laws in Ireland around paternity leave. Anybody wants to learn more about how you go from these databases to impact, I'm happy to share. But I just want to say for now, we know it works because countries are swayed when it's very visible on a map of where they're leading and where they're lagging. We've already done this across a wide range of areas and seen the impact, but nobody has done this enough yet when it comes to climate. So the goal is all of mitigation, all of adaptation available on as many people's websites as they want, available across languages. This is just so that I can mention we'll already have the capacity a month from now to put everything that's found up in at least all the main UN languages. So what are we trying to do together, and what has Sierra just done an amazing job getting us started on? So I think people on this Zoom know that the impact of climate is across sectors. What we need to change happens across sectors. So there are really a wide range of laws and policies we need to pull together. That's the challenge. That's why creating scrapers and automated tools is so important. So what this initiative does would create scrapers for every single country, get them in real time for all laws and policies that affect climate, both on the mitigation side and adaptation, and then work with other groups around the world who are also working in human-assisted AI and machine learning for analysis and making the accountability more simple. What we're hoping at any stage during this, including at the end, is to get enough people excited to join. So Sierra's going to show you how she has already developed a tool that makes it possible to automate scraping of one country, and how she's made it easy for other people to replicate. If everybody who joins this call ends up saying, okay, I'll take on 3 or 4 countries, and I'll find one other friend who will take on 3 or 4 countries to spend just a handful of hours on each to create the scraper, we could rapidly do this for the whole world. I want to make sure you have emails of Erin Bresnahan from our center and Sierra to reach out if you want to do it. And Erin is also going to put in the chat how, if when you hear about what Sierra is doing, you want to participate, she's going to put a link to a way where you can say, hey, I would really like to do South Korea, or I would really like to do Kenya, or here are 3 countries I'd like to do, or just get back in touch with me. I'm thinking about it. So over to Sierra for more.
Thanks so much, Jody. It's been awesome working on this project. And like Jody said, we can have so much impact by gathering all this really, really important information on climate legislature across the world. Like Jody mentioned, it's a really large scope project, which is why we are asking for all of your help. We want to get every single law from every single country And so we need a custom scraper for each of those websites. I have so far written about 4 scrapers, and each of them took me about 4 hours. I'm not a Python expert or anything, and they've been around 100 to 200 lines of code, but it's kind of fun to write them. You'll learn how to inspect websites, how to use web drivers, and how to improve your Python skills. Not to mention you'll be supporting this awesome goal of organizing and analyzing climate legislature around the world. But a secondary part of this project that we've been working on is indexing and being able to search through all of these laws. So I wanted to do a quick demo of the search tool that we have created. So let me share my screen. Okay, can everybody see that? Okay, so this is a very basic UI. There's a lot of features we'd love to add to this tool. But for the 4 countries that we have, it gets the job done. So you can basically make basic queries and it will search legislature from all the countries that we have and allow you to basically download the PDFs of those laws so you can get the full text of it. You can do multiple search terms. And this just makes it a lot easier to find legislation related to whatever topic that you're looking for. Anyways, let me stop that now. That's kind of just a demo to show you kind of the power that this repository can have. Using this search tool, institutes like the World Policy Analysis Center can do all the great work that they do without having to do as much manual reading through laws and yeah. So like Jody said, if you're interested in helping out, we'll send out some more information about the ways you can get in contact with us. I am planning on holding kind of office hours for people who feel a little bit shaky on their Python. So you'll definitely have lots of help building these scrapers if you need them. And I will also send out a guide to anybody who's interested in how I've created the scrapers that I've written so far and how you can do the same.
Thank you so much, Sierra. So just before we open it up like to all the questions or discussion, I just want to say again how incredibly powerful what Sierra has made is and how powerful what you could do really in a pretty small amount of time would be to add to this. So just to take a couple examples, right now, if someone wanted to say on the adaptation side, what are people doing to respond to wildfires as we've been having in the West in the United States? Or what do people want to do to respond to extreme weather events? There is no rapid way to find that out. If someone says, okay, what are the construction code laws that really help with mitigation? Or what are the laws around alternative sources of energy or anything else? The best we could do is what was pulled by hand a couple years ago by one group. It would not be up to date, as tremendous as all the work has been that's been done, and it wouldn't cover all areas. So this is really transformative. It's transformative because of all of the NLP and other parts that sit on top that Sierra just skimmed by, but have been a tremendous amount of work on her part and really amazing work on her part. But to make this fly, for us really to be able to make a difference around the world, we absolutely need the contributions of a group of people who'd be willing just to take on a handful of countries. And what that job is the first step, which is at World, we're going to search all the websites. We've found them for most countries that pull all the laws together in full text. And what we're asking for help on is people who would take 1, 2, 3, 5 countries. Some of these, it might just be volunteering 4 hours. Maybe you'd be volunteering 20 hours if you were doing several countries between now and COP, so that we actually could do the world before then. So really hope you're interested and look forward to Sierra or Erin or I being able to answer any questions or hear your thoughts.
I have a question. Are you considering doing like city and state level laws also, or does that expand the scope too much? Because there's a lot of cities in the world.
Phase 2, and yes. so we would love to do that. We wanna get the couple hundred countries first, 193 for UN, couple hundred if you include all countries. But then I think absolutely, given the number of codes around, housing codes, transportation, other pieces that happen at the city and state level, I think doing that next would be really valuable. Anybody else, feel free just to hop in.
So you have to find the sites first, and the scrapers are specific, tuned to each site that you find. Yeah, got it.
Exactly. So there are really sort of 3 steps. 1, finding the sites where countries, states, or cities post all their laws online. The good news is now most of the world does that. I mean, we're gonna have a couple exceptions, but most of the world does that. Step 2 is getting all those laws and policies downloaded into a database. That's what the scrapers are going to help us do. Step 3 is what Sierra developed the toolkit for, so it can search those, so you can find them in a useful way. And then at World, and again, together with any partners who want, Erin can put our website, which is worldpolicycenter.org, just so it's easy to click on in the chat. But you'll see everything we do is free, downloadable, shareable. So you can make PowerPoints out of it. You can share it on Twitter, on Facebook. You can get the original data set. It's all public use. So then it's translating it into a product that's really easy for anybody to use. And we are also super happy to share it with other organizations, websites, et cetera. And anybody who contributes time to add countries and wants to be recognized, we absolutely want to thank them and put their name with it. Anybody who wants to be anonymous about their countries they pick, that's fine too.
Hi, I have a bunch of questions. I'm Michel Epitich. I'm the co-founder of Project Canopy. We're focusing on the Congo Basin. So that's 6 countries right there for you. Are you guys scraping Fowlex like automatically right off the bat? Or what's your opinion on Fowlex and how up-to-date their stuff is?
So I think that basically a lot, I mean, we do use the global databases a lot, and they're variable in how up to date they are, is the short answer. And so I do totally think they're worth scraping, but they're especially variable for the small countries, right? So I think the real difference between this approach and the global databases is the global databases require the country to take the time to respond, to send their laws in. And especially in something as broad as climate, which covers many areas, they may be having to send that law to like 3 different UN databases. This means they don't have to do anything. And our experience is not all countries do update regularly, but they are much more likely to update their own national website.
I mean, unfortunately, in as far as the Congo Basin goes, that's not even necessarily true. A lot of these websites look like they were designed in like 1997. So that brings me to my next question, which is if we have PDFs that we know are the current law, but they're not on any website, can we submit them?
So, my quick answer is absolutely we have to create. No, we haven't created yet, but absolutely we have to create a way. And that is, that is part of the job, and why I said there aren't 193 good websites that allows those paper ones to come in, either because they're really poor countries and don't have the online database, or some of the very small island states that are less automated. So really appreciate you raising that, Misha, and I do think it's an important thing to address.
And if I can, I have one last question. A lot of these laws that I've seen from that part of the world, the PDFs are scans, and they're really bad scans. Like they're terrible DPI. I don't know if you can run OCR over them. So, or if you can run OCR over them, you'll get a bunch of garbage. So kind of tell me about like what's the threshold of quality that you guys are looking for to kind of enable like this kind of scale that scraping provides.
I'm going to turn that one to Sierra.
Yeah, I think that's the quality of the PDF is definitely an issue that we've seen even with other countries. And I don't know what our solution can be for very low resolution ones that can't be scanned or can't be recognized by OCR very well. I think maybe what we could do is like ask people who have been writing the scrapers to kind of check over their work and see what the quality is like. And if the quality is very low, then we need to find a different solution.
And I think
we could use Mechanical Turk too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's a good idea. I think the only other thing I want to add is I could imagine down the road where once this is functional, trying to get the UN or some of the other groups that are homes to these global databases, whether it's FAO-Lex, NatLex, a series of these other databases, it could be that there'd be real value in just helping the countries read all their laws and create the website, because then it could automate everything else. It could reduce for the countries. It's a lot of labor, these submissions for some of the poor and small countries. So I think there's what can we do around climate? And then there's is there a bigger solution once this is up and running for most countries?
Thanks so much.
Thank you for raising all those good issues. Anybody else?
Are you planning to make the scrapers and whatever other infrastructure open source, along with whatever data results in them, or have
So
you thought about it?
The short answer is the pieces that we know will be open source, these scrapers that are being created collectively will absolutely be open source, and all products out of it will absolutely be open source. There's a question in between of that interface, and I think really our question is it will absolutely be not for profit. The question is, can that interface actually be used in a way that helps us build out this whole initiative and makes it possible for all 193 countries. So that's a part we're still trying to sort out.
Part of the reason I ask is because I do a lot of like government scraping for my day job, and you're gonna have to like, they constantly change the interface and don't tell anyone, and you know, you have to redo them like every month. So I'm imagining this is going to be an ongoing, never-ending effort.
It will absolutely be an ongoing effort. I think, though, compared to what it takes right now to learn, and the just how little knowledge we have, you know, so you know, I know I don't have to convince anybody on this Zoom that we're in a complete crisis, and we're in that crisis pretty much in many ways in the dark about what countries are or aren't doing about it compared to what we should know. And so this could totally transform that. Just want to remind folks that a couple of things in the chat. So if you just want to see what some maps or public share looks like, the World Policy Center site is there. If on the form, if you want to volunteer and help, or if you just want to learn more, like feel free to do something else with the form. Feel free, there's a lot of open text there. Feel free just to say, hey, I'd like to know more, or is there a place I can email, you know, connect to friends who might do a couple countries. If you have Aaron and Sierra's email from before, but we'll throw them back in the chat if there are more questions, either on what do we do with this or the technical side. But just want to make sure that if there are any other ideas, suggestions, possible partnerships, people have a chance to raise them.
I do have one more question. I'm sorry. Are you guys considering a metadata scheme? So for example, you know, I do the search, I find something, it's great. When was the law passed? When did it go into force? Did it replace any other law? How do I find that out? Is that part of the metadata, or do I have to actually read that within the law itself?
We're planning on adding that to the metadata. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely when the law is enforced. And we haven't quite figured out amendments yet, but also when it was scraped, the title, hopefully. Yeah, and I think we're still adding to that list of what should be in the metadata.
Great.
And if you have, you know, ideas of things that's especially helpful to have in the metadata, don't hesitate to let us know to throw them out there.
Hi, thank you for putting this together, and I'm very inspired that, you know, some of the work helped change laws in other countries. I was curious, is there a version of this that's live now? Because I personally don't know any programming, but I could share it with other people. So short of them, you know, either watching this recording, the form itself doesn't give enough context. So I just wanted to see where they can at least get some more information. And I think it was actually helpful that you broke down the steps earlier into 3 pieces, because like for part 1, potentially that's something that non-technical people can help with, just identifying the sites, which is actually really time consuming in itself. And so I think like I can try to see if that's something I can help with. The only thing is though, I'm not proficient enough in any other language aside from English to be able to read like legal documents and know if that's the right thing. So that sounds like that's probably like a big barrier, but to the extent that I can try to share this with other people I know in other countries, I will definitely do that. So if there's like basically a page or something I can refer people to, that would be helpful, just so that they don't feel like they have to like, you know, spend a few minutes watching a webinar or something.
That's great, thank you. So we will commit to emailing the following things as a follow-up. So, so a couple things. The Work on Climate team, and Jeremy is, as you know, is recording it. So anybody who wants to see the recording, and I totally hear what you're saying, it's important to have a briefer version, but could probably get the whole thing in 12 minutes from the recording. We will also make the slides available on the use case. And I think the other thing is we will try to create, just like give us a few days, but we'll try to create a link to like a 1-minute video. So
we have a description of the project that we wrote months ago, and we can send that out to everybody who was signed up for the call. So we'll follow up with a link to the recording, and we can also follow up with a short description.
Yeah, and we'll update that. That's a terrific help, Jeremy, and we'll update that description to add basically a paragraph on where the different ways people could contribute at this stage, just because the project's further along.
Yeah, and I guess the only thing I would add to that is, I know there was a question earlier about, city versus state and like local governments. Like if there's even a place to park the information for like local governments for now, so that for round 2 at least, because I'm sure as people are coming across this, they might come across that like, I live in California, so like, state versus federal policy is very, very, very different on climate. And they make it very available. So to the extent that people come across that before they come across something federally, if there's a place just to park that information too, that might be helpful.
That's great. And I love your idea, Zora, that one of the things people could do who are non-technical is find these online repositories for future scraping. So we've already got most of the national ones, though I'm sure there's some we could still get, but we don't have most of the subnational, whether it's state or city. So that is something people could do and really look at how good they are.
Wonderful. Oh, I was just going to say, if there are no other questions, I'll stop the recording. And then if there are additional questions, you can of course follow up with Sierra, Dr. Hyman, or Aaron, or feel free to follow up with myself, although I know much less than all of them.